In this video, I'm going to show you my entire process of how I edit a basic YouTube video, and I'm going to include exactly how long it took me to edit it. And just so that you don't have to wait to the very end to find out how long that was, I'll just put the number on the screen. I am newer to this. I've only made about 30 long-form YouTube videos and a variety of short-form content, so I know I'm not the most efficient and I have tons to learn. I feel like I could just keep learning for forever. So if you have any tips for me, please leave them down in the comments. I would love to know what they are. But this video was requested by Ryan, so Ryan, thank you for asking me to make this video. So I'm going to walk you through step by step the entire process, and the video that I'm using is a video that we posted 2 weeks ago. It's an outdoor campfire cooking video, so if you want to check that out, I'll link in the description below. I work off of an external SSD drive. My laptop has 1 terabyte of storage, but that fills up so quickly when editing. I had no idea how much space editing took up when I first started. So it works better if I just use one of these. And I also turn off background rendering in Final Cut Pro, which is the editing software that I use. And I'll show you how I do that later. So to start, I take the SD card from my camera, I plug it into the computer, I transfer all of that into a folder on the external drive, and I organize it obviously by the project name and the date. And if I was doing a longer, say a week-long trip video, then I would have multiple folders, maybe even day 1, day 2, day 3, or just by the camera I was using. So my Sony camera, GoPro footage, drone footage, those would all have their own folders. But in this case, I just have one folder. I dumped everything in there. I used one camera. I only filmed it over the course of 1 day. So it's really simple for this one. One thing that I used to do was I would watch through all the footage that I got before I even imported it into Final Cut, just to see what clips I wanted to throw away, because I knew I mistakenly recorded some things, or there were just some things I wouldn't want to use, and I was trying to delete all of that before having a really clean folder. That takes way too much time. Just dump it all in Final Cut, put it in your timeline, start watching it through, because otherwise you're going to be doing that whole thing twice. So I would just put it all in at once and start editing from there. Once I have everything downloaded from my camera onto the external drive, I wait to wipe the SD card until the project is fully edited, if possible. Just in case something gets lost, I still have the raw footage on my SD card. Okay, so we're going to open up Final Cut Pro here. And to start, I create a new library. And I'm going to title this Campfire Cookout. Save that. And then open a project in that library. I'm just going to title it the same thing, Campfire Cookout. Make sure it's in 4K. If I was doing vertical, I would click that. Make sure the resolution is in 4K. Make sure that your frame rate is whatever you filmed it in, which for me was 24. I like doing the Apple ProRes 422 LT. It just makes a little bit of a smaller file. And then I hit OK. Now it's time to import. So I'm just going to hit Command-I, and that brings this up. I'm going to go to the external drive. It's just called Extreme 4. Navigate to Campfire Cookout. Import that entire folder. And now comes the big dump. I just select the entire thing, all of the clips I have, drag them into the timeline. Before we continue, let's turn off background rendering, which for me is already turned off, but this is how you would do it. You would hit Command, comma, navigate to playback, which we're on, and then uncheck the background render box. Mine is unchecked. This is so essential. This really cuts back on how much space fills up. Next comes the big watch through. I cut out all of the unusable footage, basically just weed out all of the stuff I don't need. That is definitely the longest part of this process. It usually takes me a few hours, depending on how long the video was. So in this case, we have 27 minutes and 9 seconds of footage. So that will take me quite a while to watch through, but just gonna get started. As I'm going though, I'll think about the story, how I want to rearrange things on my second look through. So for example, I might find a part where we kind of messed up what we were saying. So I'll cut that part out of the clip like that, and then I'll move it all the way to the end just in case we want to use it for blooper content. This is just my method. I create this little blank space right here so that I can put sections of clips that I've cut out from a longer clip on the other side, and then I'll look through that material, see if it was like blooper stuff or something like that. And you create that blank space by hitting Option W. You can use that for a lot of other things, but I just separate sections of my footage that way. One thing that also makes editing vlog style videos take extra time is I feel this need to listen through all of the clips, because sometimes we might have been saying something in the background that ends up being a good element for the video. So I don't just look for the talking scenes and then all of the B-roll. I'm listening through all of the B-roll to see if there's anything usable there. Whereas if I was just shooting something for the visual aspect and not the audio aspect, I wouldn't listen. I would just scrub through to the part that looked the best, isolate that section of the clip and use that, and not have to listen to all of the audio too. All right, I just finished my first pass through of all the footage. I started out at 27 minutes 9 seconds and I cut it down to 12 minutes 57 seconds. So I cut out about 15 minutes of footage, but the final result will still be a lot shorter. So now I start my second pass through, and this is where I really start rearranging clips. If I want some kind of preview at the very beginning that has sneak peeks of what is going to be in the rest of the video, I'll start dragging clips to the beginning. I'll start putting B-roll over talking segments. I'll add in subtitles if I think you can't hear us very well. I'll really cut down talking segments, take out all the ums, all the pauses if I feel like it's just dragging and I need to speed it up and make it more interesting. And then two other things that I do kind of to help motivate me to get through the rest of the project is add music and color grade. For music, I use Artlist. I try to spend time outside of video editing making playlists, and I label them chill, slightly sad, happy, exciting. I have one called cool. As I listen to things and I like them, I'll try to put them in different collections, they're called, and then when I'm editing a video and I have a section that maybe is slightly sad, I can go to that album, choose one of those songs. It really speeds up the process. I don't do that all the time. Usually I'll get to this point, I'll need a song, and nothing in those playlists works very well, so then I just start searching. Finding music is really important, and it takes a long time sometimes. Sometimes you get lucky and you find one that you really like right away, but this is where I'll start looking for some music. And with color grading, I take a really simple approach. I put an adjustment layer on. I use LUTs that I bought online. I usually don't even use a transform LUT. I just throw one on there. I might lighten or darken it a little bit, and I pretty much call it good. So there's a lot you can do with color correcting and then color grading. I just haven't gotten super into it, but it's something I would like to learn more. So I'll show you that process. It's super easy. I come over here, I grab an adjustment layer. Final Cut doesn't have a built-in adjustment layer. You can find them online for free. It's pretty easy to install. I just drag it over the whole thing and then come over here, go to color, go to custom LUT, drag that on top, and then I choose one that I've already bought. So this is kind of a go-to. That just brings a lot more color back. If you want to see how it looked before you added that color correction, you can uncheck the LUT that you use, so that's the before and that's the after. This is not the perfect system for color grading, but it's pretty quick, and for a vlog, it's like good enough. Doing this color adjusting helps me look at the footage and not feel bored by it, because I don't like looking at the flat log image. But as I go, there might be certain clips that were lighter or darker than others, and so let's say this one felt too light or something. I would just create its own adjustment layer by cutting it, and then maybe mess around with a different one like that. One audio tip, if you are hearing any clipping or popping sounds in between clips, a way to remove it is to select both clips, create a crossfade so that you don't hear that popping and clipping anymore. So for example, in between these two clips, you can hear it. And there's still some snow. Did you hear that little pop? And there's still some snow. So if I select both of them, hit Option C, it creates a crossfade so you won't hear it anymore. And there's still some snow in the mountains. And if I zoom in, you can see this crossfade right there. So that got rid of it. I think the default keyboard shortcut for a crossfade is Option T, but I've customized mine to be Option C. And for the music, every time that I put a song in, I almost always decrease the volume. I always think it's too loud. So I drop this down to -8 decibels, and I'm not even sure that's enough. And then I use the range tool, which you can access by just hitting R. Select the area where you want the music to start decreasing in volume, and then you can just manipulate those keyframes to how quickly or how slowly you want the music to decrease. So we have come to the end. It started out as a 27-minute, 9-second project, and including a few short bloopers at the end, my final time was 5 minutes and 48 seconds. That's the length of the entire video. I spent about 3 minutes setting up the project, uploading the footage. The first pass through, where I did a rough cut, that took me 52 minutes. I spent about 40 minutes searching for music, and Tyler also spent some time at work listening to it. So 40 minutes of music searching, 1 hour and 15 minutes of additional fine-tuning, cutting down, adding captions, manipulating the music, messing with the adjustment layers, all of that stuff. So the grand total of how long it took me is 2 hours and 50 minutes of editing for a 5-minute, 48-second video. A really basic video. And when I say basic video, I mean super basic. So if you look at the project right here, this is a pretty clean looking project. We've got 3 songs. We hardly messed with the color grading at all. We've got a few captions over here, and that's pretty much it. So if you compare that to our Kawaii video, I'll show you over here what that project looks like. And I don't have that external drive plugged in right now, so it's going to say missing file. But if we click on that, this is what that one looks like. There's a lot more going on, a bunch more songs. It's essentially the same thing, but much more of it. So this one was quite simple. One last thing that I forgot, Tyler always looks through the whole thing with me. So usually we watch it beginning to end, and he gives me any last minute edits that he thinks I should make. The very last step is to export it from Final Cut or whatever editing software you're using, and then upload it to YouTube. So there are a lot of different ways to do that. This is just how I do it. You need to select everything that you want. So I'm going all the way to the end here. Go to File, Share, Export File. Go to Settings. I do Computer, Multipass, Better, H.264, and then 4K. Hit Next. Campfire Cookout, it's already named. Save it. And then it begins over here. The wheel starts to turn. Normally you're supposed to reverse engineer this, have your title, your thumbnail, your description. I usually don't do it that way. It's at this point that I'm usually thinking of the title, but we do have one for this video. This one we're calling Campfire Cookout, Breakfast for Dinner. I'm not sure what our description is going to be yet. I think I'll ask Tyler about that. He created the thumbnail. I don't have it yet, so I'll upload that when I do have it. I'm gonna just go ahead and hit no, it's not made for kids. We'll see how long it takes. The export from Final Cut took about 6 minutes, and now this upload, it's saying 43 minutes. So we got the go ahead, checks complete, no issues found. The time that it takes to upload is pretty accurate, what it estimates down at the bottom. The time that it estimates for processing is definitely a lot shorter than what it says. I think it said 49 minutes or something on this one. It was definitely a lot shorter. So Tyler made a thumbnail, got that uploaded. I'm just going to hit next. I always add an end screen, and I always do 1 video and 1 subscribe. So I like to choose a specific video. I'm just going to put Peak to Creek. I want the end screen to begin when we're dousing the fire. About there is good. I'm gonna save that. Hit next again, public, and I'm gonna schedule it for tomorrow morning. Yep, that's the 19th at 9 a.m. We just always try to upload at the same time every week. Schedule, and good to go. And that is my entire process, start to finish, for a basic YouTube video. Like I said, this tutorial was really out of my wheelhouse, but if there's anything you guys want me to cover more in depth or something else that you would like me to cover, definitely let me know. And if you guys have any tips for me, please share them. I would love to improve my workflow. I know there's so much to learn. And if you guys want to see the final result, I will link this video down below. So thank you so much for watching. And I'm going to include, okay, hold on. Command, Shift, 5. Nope, got nothing.